We understood that SEO is segregated under four different types. Segregated as four different types. One is on-page SEO, site level, and technical. So we have done with not three, two, only two. One is on-page SEO is done, and site level SEO is done. Okay, and now we are going to start with technical SEO, right? So what is this technical SEO? So if you go back to our search engines functionality, we realized or understood there are three parameters that play a crucial role in ranking the website on Google, correct? Which are those three parameters? Employee engagement. No, not employee. Crawl frequency. So crawl frequency is important thing. Crawl rate is one of them which will help crawl frequency. You can simply call it as crawl stats. Correct? Yeah, crawl stats, user engagement, CTR. Correct? Crawl frequency, CTR, and engagement. These three factors play a crucial role in ranking the website on Google. So, Diksha, for you, it will be difficult to understand what is this crawl frequency, CTR, and engagement. So, they all were from part of this class from day one. That's why it's easier for them to correlate or understand. Okay. So, recording is on, man. Yeah. Yeah. So now engagement. What is this engagement? Engagement is all about a web page being very useful for the user, and the end goal of the user has to be met. So, for example, you have Googled buy shoes online. You have visited Flipkart website or Mintra website or Jabong or any other website, right? So now, when you visited this page, if you are able to purchase the shoe, right, then it's considered to be as end user's goal is met. You are the end user, correct? For Flipkart or Amazon or Mintra, you are the end user. So is end user goal met? Yes. Might or might not be met. It will be met only when you see a product of the size that you are looking for, color that you are looking for, correct, and the brand that you are looking for, correct. So in simple, if it is out of stock, you won't be able to purchase, correct. If the price is quite high, comparatively very high than that of sold by another seller, correct. This is one simple example of how an engagement can get ruined, can be worse or bad, right? This is one example, but engagement can also be impacted by load times, correct? Load times. If page is rotating for several minutes, several seconds, it's not even minutes now. People expect it to be loading quickly within 3 seconds. If it is beyond 3 seconds, people will exit, correct? That is load time. And another thing is the functionalities. You are clicking on add to cart and it's not working, correct? Correct. So now in this technical SEO, we are mainly going to address these kinds of things which deal with load times and functionalities of the web pages. Right? You understood what is technical SEO now? So we are going to look into each of them one by one. Okay. So yeah. So in the previous batch we had written something. Let me quickly read that. Deals with the technical aspects of the website which help or improve the performance of the website on search engines. So it's not how is it going to when we are improving the engagement, how is that going to help improve the search rankings? How is that improving the search rankings? Simple, right? So engagement, if engagement we discussed with the table, right? We scored everything, crawl frequency, CTR and engagement. If engagement is high, you will be retained in the top, correct? When your load times are fixed, your crawl frequency will also improve. See, technical aspects play a crucial role in improving two metrics. One is crawl frequency and another one is engagement, correct? We discussed everything that we do in SEO is to either improve CTR, crawl frequency or engagement. Now, one of these things that we are doing in technical SEO is going to improve two metrics. One is crawl frequency or crawl stats, simply crawl stats, and as well as engagement, correct? Like sometimes you must have heard, right? Parents will tell whatever we are doing it's for you, correct? Heard of it? Anybody? We do everything only for you, correct? Correct. So it's something like that in SEO. Whatever you do only for this three kids. One is crawl frequency, CTR, and engagement. Whatever you do, right? Sometimes what our mom does, for example, she cooks. It fills our stomachs as well as love and affection can also be seen, correct? Right? Same with these technical aspects will help improving the crawl stats as well as engagement. And these two are super important. Without these three metrics, your website will not rank, which we have discussed in the past. Correct? Ranking your website, placing your website in the top happens only when these three metrics are super good. Correct? Right? So that's why technical SEO is super important. The technical SEO mainly focuses on improving the crawl stats and the user engagement. In technical SEO, you deal with the load times. For example, your page is loading in 10 seconds. You will bring down it to 1 second. Right? Second thing, the page sizes. It's suggested to have less than 1 MB. So I will be showing you on the screen now how do we measure the page sizes and all. Okay. So for example, any image that you are sending on WhatsApp, what will be the size of this image? It can be anything, 1 MB, 2 MB, 500 KB, correct? Same way, these web pages, whichever you open will have the size, right? So obviously, they will take certain amount of internet bandwidth, correct? If you're sending a video on WhatsApp and if they have to download, they need data, correct? So same way, bots also will have the data. The Google bots, open the door. So Google bots also will have the bandwidth, right? Good morning. Why you are so late, man?
Sir, okay, sir.
Huh? Okay. So these web pages, this web page is a combination. So you all remember, I guess, still the web page is made of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images, right? So a web page is made of all this, and obviously it's going to be of certain size. And how do we understand the size of the web page? There is a tool called tools.pingdom.com, right? Okay, let me take some location. Okay, so the page sizes, the main goal of technical SEO is mainly to improve the load times, to improve the page size. Page size, I'll just show you here what is the page size, and we will discuss how do we reduce the page sizes as well, right? If you look at the page size, it will be around 1 MB easily, 1.3 MB, 1.3 MB. The web page has to be less than 1 MB and as low as possible, correct? You will expect employer to pay as high as possible, right? You will be happy, right, if he keeps increasing another 1 lakh, another 1 lakh, another 1 lakh. Will you say no to it? No, right? Same way, search engines would love to see us very light web page, very light web page. So, for example, you have only 1 MB bandwidth. Would you expect you want to? It's a QR code or maybe some password or something. You would obviously expect them to send a file which is less than 1 MB, right? If it is 2 MB, 3 MB, the file will not download. Now you understand how important it is to have a smaller size file, correct? Same way, we are going to understand that in depth. We had discussed this in the past, but still, it's the right time for us to understand in depth here, right? The page size is 1.3 MB, and if you look at the load time, it's 6.46 seconds. The technical aspects of these websites are poor, and this needs an improvement. So when you improve this, two metrics are going to improve. One is crawl stats and another one is engagement. Right? Huh? Number of requests. Okay. So, so for you, this looks like one single URL, correct? Learnandthrive.com. But in order to serve this file to the browser from the server has to send this image. This image, where are these images sitting now? These are also on the server, which are made part of this web page. So if you look at this, controller, image, yeah, you see image, there will be the files as well. See, look at this, this is an image. This is a separate file. this is the request went to the server, and server has sent back the image to the browser, right? You all understood, right? Now, in order to serve this web page, there will be many such requests. Not only the image request, this page is made of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So this page also has CSS and JavaScript. So this is one CSS file. You all know what a CSS file is already, correct? This is CSS file, and you will have the .js JavaScript files as well, right? This is JavaScript file, right? In order to send a web page, see, a web page is now made of, it's like a wall is built of bricks, sand, metal, cement, right? Now a wall is not one object, it's made out of multiple objects, correct? Now you must have moved all this material to this floor to build this wall, correct? You did not just get wall directly, and it's not just one structure. Just give me 1 second, guys. Hello. Hello. Yes. Good morning. Yeah. Yeah. Call you back. Guys, focus. Yeah. So this wall, it did not come as one structure here onto this floor, correct?
Yes, sir.
This came as bricks, right? Cement, material, various. So same way the web page, it's looking like one request sent to the server. You are sending a request. Whenever you type like this, you are assuming that you are typing only one domain name, and one request is going to the server, and server is sending back all that information. It's one request only sent to server. But in order to give a complete web page, the way how you are seeing now, this web page has so many other files embedded in it. So it has to send all those files. That is the number of requests. So the base has 67 such requests. You have made only one request, but that's not actually one request. If this page has to be displayed the way how you are seeing, 67 different files has to be sent from server to the browser, and this one has to be kept less than 100 requests or as low as possible. Some websites will have 500 requests also. That's the worst coding practices.
Is there any criteria for it, sir, or only so coming?
It has to be less than 100. See, what happens is, so let's say a truck. A truck can carry maximum. Or let's take bus. Let's take a bus. Okay. Bus. Let's assume a seating capacity is 40 people, right? If it is 45 people, we Indians, we adjust in the same bus and we come in the same bus, right? But here it's not that way. Now think of, just for five people, a new bus, one more bus. Now just to ride this 5 people, total you are riding 45 people. So 45 people has to reach destination, correct?
Yes.
So in order to reach these 45 people to destinations, you need 2 buses now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
As a typical Indian, you'd have made the adjustments and would have come in the same bus and saved the fuel or additional costs incurred, everything. Okay, but this is not accepted in some foreign countries,
Yes.
right? Even if it is one person, one bus has to move. So same way, when there are, so for every 100 requests there is one connection formed, and for every connection some time has been taken. For every connection, let's say 1 second or 2 seconds, let's assume 2 seconds, 1 second time is taken. Now the more the connections form, more number of seconds of time is needed to send all the data to browser, correct?
Yes.
Are you all getting it?
Yes, sir.
Correct? So when you limit it to less than 100, it all comes in single connection. Even for only one request, a new connection will be formed. Dhanush, I'm in the meeting, shall I call you back? Okay. Yeah. So you all understood now the limit, but keeping it as low as possible will be super good. Even this connection, which is taking a single connection, which is taking 1 minute time, would take, sorry, 1 second time would take 500 milliseconds. It's something like, sometimes you must have seen a heavy 10-wheeler truck which has full load of material will be moving slow. When there are ups, it will be very slow. If it is empty, you must have seen how fast it moves, correct? So the same happens with your requests as well. If you're keeping it less number of requests, the load time. So let's assume this is kept to only 20 requests, then it might come down to 3 seconds or 4 seconds, and improvement in this might bring down it to 2 seconds, right? There are few more measures, optimization techniques. So when you optimize it in all in the possible ways, it might come down to 1 second or 500 milliseconds. Okay, did you all get that?
Yes, sir.
So what is the benefit?
What is? Yeah. So see now, these you all understood, the page size has to be brought down, the request has to be brought down, the load time has to be brought down. So we are going to discuss that here. They are also suggesting what can be done in order to bring this down, right? In order to bring this down, what can be done? So one thing, in order to reduce this request, you can combine. See, there will be multiple CSS files. Developers use multiple images, multiple CSS files, multiple JS files. I'll give you a simple example. Now let's assume you have to send um some of your photos to one of your friend. They have only 1 MB data, but each photo is of 500 KB. If you are sending 20 photos or 10 photos, it's going to take 10 MB of data if it is 20 photos, correct? But still you have to send all the images. Each image contains one word number and that's a password of something, right? What can you do in this scenario? You can convert that to compress is one option. You can collage. Collage is collage. Google Photos also shows you, right? Google collage, right? Multiple photos to one image.
Yes.
Here it is called as CSS sprites. I think we discussed this yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We call this as CSS sprites. So that will bring down. See now this one images we have seen, right? Images. There are multiple images, correct? This is one image and this is another image. All that can be just one request. Like that, this page might have 20, 30 images, and all those can be converted to a collage, and which it's not called as collage here in the web technologies. It's called as CSS sprites. CSS sprites. So when you convert that to CSS sprites, so now using the collage here, the CSS will be written. You can display only one image from the collage wherever you want. I want to display, the collage is only one image which has multiple images in it. I'm going to pull in whichever image I want from the collage to the left corner of the screen, and here to the right side of the banner section, right? So this request will come down from 67 to 27 probably, correct? You all got it?
Yes,
So the same is being explained here. Compress components with gzip. It's not compressing only the images. You can compress PDF files, correct?
Yes.
You can compress any kind of content. Same way the content that's been uploaded onto your server can be compressed and stored over there. And from server to the browser, the content will come in its compressed state. The email which you are sending, attaching the zip file, will be passed over the web or internet in the compressed state, and it will be attached in the compressed state on your email as well. When you download it, then you will be allowed to extract all the files, correct?
Yes, sir.
It all comes in its compressed states, correct? Are you all following it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it all comes in its compressed state, right? So now there is one more option. See, when you visit this URL, this image or probably some other image or some other requests are coming from going to browser, a server, and server has to send the all this information pertaining to your website is stored on server, and it has to come from server to your browser, correct? Now there is one more good way, better way of sending information. Now as a website developer, I can instruct to browser, if Manjunath is visiting this website, do one thing, store this some of these contents in your browser, temporary cache. You must have heard clear the cookies,
Yes.
clear the cache.
Yes.
Clearing the cache. So why it holds the cache? First of all, there is an information or instruction to the browser from the server to store the information on the browser.
What happens, sir?
I'll tell you. So when the browser is storing that information temporarily, now that particular file, this logo request will not go to server. It will be quickly rendered from your browser itself. It's something like, so to get into this class, not to get into this class. So see, let's assume while coming to this class every day, you have to carry some heavy weight to the office. So if you are carrying and coming all the way 10 kilometers, you might take another half an hour extra, right? You are carrying only for this class every time, not for anything. Then, and you know that you are coming every day here. Why do you carry back to home? Keep it here at the front desk. While getting into the class, just carry that object and get into the class. That quickly takes few seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct? If you had to carry it all the way, it's going to take so much time because you are struggling, you are moving slow. Correct?
Yes.
Same way when a request is sent to the server, that's not the only purpose. A request, when a request is sent to the server for sending any information or to handle this request, servers will charge them based on the request. Amazon server or GoDaddy server, there are some servers. They will charge based on the traffic to the server, traffic to the website, right?
Yes.
So this is also considered as a traffic. Okay, every request that's going 67 traffic, 67 hits to the server now. If they have to serve 67 files, 67 hits to the server, and for every 1000 hits or every 1 lakh hits, they are going to charge additional price. Okay, so now when I instruct the browser will hold the copy, and whenever you are returning, whenever you are reopening the website again, it comes from the browser, right? Now, what would have happened is the web developer would have changed this logo to ABC, right? Now, when you open learnertry.com, it still shows the old logo only. Why? Because it's holding it's cached,
Okay.
it's cached, right? Okay. There is something amazing. You must be wondering, right? You must have visited Flipkart or Myntra. Again, you will see the ads of the same on Facebook, Instagram, or any other website that you visit. That is cookie-based marketing. There is something called as cookies. We will discuss that later. For now, you just remember. So we are going to set an expiry header for the file. So while we instruct browsers to store this file, we can instruct store this file for lifetime, 1 month, 1 year. They will be holding that file until that period. After that, they will remove that file. Right? You understood? Yeah. Yeah. So the number of requests sent to the server should be okay. We have discussed IP detection if required for multiple reasons. See, in technical SEO, we also work on IP detection. I'll tell you why. We deal with the CDNs, content delivery networks. Okay. See, these servers, whichever we are using, are not located next to our building. These servers, the content whichever we are uploading to the server and used by people is not coming from the building next to our places. These servers are located at different countries, different regions, in different continents, right? And from this server, there are cables laid until our places or our destinations. And all this information will come through these cables, internet cables, right? So now, if this information has to come from California, though it is on the line cable, it comes through over the wide network or wireless network. See, for us it's Wi-Fi, but this Wi-Fi also is coming through a wire until here.
Yes.
Only this close proximity you are using wireless network, correct? For that information to come from a server located in California to Bangalore would take more time, right? Now there is something called as content delivery networks, right? So now what this content delivery networks do is, for example, Akamai. There are different content, Cloudflare, Akamai, and there are a number of companies who manage or maintain the servers in different parts of the countries, in different parts of the globe. Like, for example, let's say there will be a server located in Mumbai, one in Hyderabad, one in Bangalore, by these people. So these servers are different from they are also internet servers, but the original data which is stored on the internet server will be taken a copy and will be put on the servers, right? Now whenever somebody visits a website like this, a request goes to the nearby server, a server which is located in Mumbai or maybe Hyderabad or in Bangalore, and sends the information to your browser, and that's how your websites will load quickly. You understood? Content delivery network, where the original content will be copied and stored at different places, different servers. They are also internet servers, right? And this content, see, for example, pulling a content from my own computer to my browser is super easy. It's nanoseconds, correct? Now, if this content is uploaded to a server which is hosted on from GoDaddy server, the server is already slow, processing capabilities are slow, it might take few seconds, right? Same way now, instead of my computer, I am accessing it from a nearby server, which is located in Hyderabad or Bangalore or Mumbai or Chennai or some other place. That is content delivery network, right? The server response time is the total time taken by the server to respond to the request from the browser or bots. It has to be always less than. I'll show it to you all. Let's go one by one. Sorry. Okay. So here I'm briefing what all will be taken care in technical SEO, right? It's load times, page sizes, the number of requests, right? Load time we understood certain methods. How do we bring down? There are multiple methods: implementing CDN, compressing the files, CSS sprites. I mean, like merge the CSS files and JSS files. There will be too many CSS files and too many JSS files, JavaScript files, to form this one page. So instead of too many files, we can convert everything. All the code can be put into only one file. Instead of putting every time small piece of code in one file, another small piece of code in another file, the number of requests keep increasing. These pieces of code for different functionalities, we are storing it in different files. Now everything can be brought to one single file, and that way the number of requests will come down, and that will improve the speed as well, and as well as the load time, the performance grade, everything. Okay. Um, IP detection if required for multiple reason optimization. Okay. So, for example, let's say there are some companies which would like to send the information based on their reason in a different currencies. And if you're coming from India, they might probably show you a lesser price. And if you're coming from USA, they will show you higher price, right? And sometimes the language itself will change. How will this happen? This happens based on the IP detection. See, for every device, so if I am logging into, if I am using Google from this location or any website, there will be an IP for this location, right? So based on that, we can identify where is the person from.
Is it exact location or only the
So there's proximity coming from the network or the tower. Based on that, it identifies he is browsing from Bangalore. Probably it might say HSR layout also, or just Bangalore. Okay. So now uh, this service has been provided by other third party tools like IP to location, right? Their work is to identify the IP and tell which location it is.
Example.
I'll tell you. So now what we do is, see example IP to location.com or .net something, IP to location. Uh, there are many service providers. If you search IP to location finder or API, you will see so many companies, right? IPAPI.com, IPstack.com, IPAPI.co, IP to location API. See, there are so many companies providing the service. We can use their service and we can configure our websites. Our website will be connected with this APIs, or we are going to use this data and bring it to our servers. Okay, we are going to get this data to our servers. That's what API is. API is already data is there from somebody and it's sitting somewhere. We just access all that data. We make use of that data, and whenever somebody visits our website, we are going to identify that the user is from Bangalore, Hyderabad, USA, Canada, California, Australia, Chicago. So that way we are going to identify and we can code. If person is from USA, show it in dollars. If person it is from Australia, show it in Australian dollars. Are you all getting it?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this way the experience is going to be better, correct? The user experience, a person who is coming from USA, if he sees in INR, he will quickly close it, correct?
Yes.
If you want to retain him, if you want to let him explore further, you have to show the details in his respective currencies or languages sometimes. Somebody who is visiting from France would expect all your web page to be in French. The moment you identify their IP, the page can be automatically rendered and displayed it in all French. Are you all getting it? So this will improve the engagement. Correct? Now this is also considered to be as a technical implementation.
So from where we can find the IP?
You are not going to find. There are service providers. Technically I have no clue how they are going to identify. Probably they must have built the servers, processors, systems which will quickly process and understand what the location is. Or every location HSR will have an IP, probably Bangalore will have an IP. So they have created a Excel. Let's think of this way. They must have created Excel sheet. If it is 560102, it's HSR layout. If it is 56038, it could be KR Puram. If it is 560 something else, it could be Whitefield, right? Does it change? No. But you don't know all these pin codes and the areas for complete Bangalore region, correct? Now what will you do? Somebody must have compiled this sheet, Excel sheet, which has 1,000 rows of data, correct? Instead of you manually doing it, now you will quickly get the data and configure it with your website. When somebody visits from 560102, you will print it as HSR layout. IP to location also works the same way. Instead of pin code here, it's going to be IP. Okay. So yeah, if I have to build it by myself, that might probably take a lot of time. It's been already built by someone. How did they do? They must have been the BBMP officers who has that repository since decades, or they are the one who has decided the pin codes, or some person must have sat manually identified, took 6 months of time to finalize this list. I don't want to spend so much time. So now I will access all of that information. They provide it as a service and call it as API.
So
Some
in case if I need to find an IP address,
you need to.
because I need an IP address, because I do when I'm working on a project. So if I want to find an IP address of a person who was doing the fraudsters, so how can I do that?
You want to find the IP address. So
Yes,
your
the
server,
IP address.
IP address. See, if you are visiting a website from some location, your servers usually store this information. Your server cPanel or the stats, something like that, they will store the information. So now you won't be able to find only one person. 1,000 people have visited your website this particular hour. You might have to check all these 1,000 IP addresses using one of the services again. IP to location, you put the IP in this tools, you put the IP. So IP to location instead of IP to location finder. So I can opt the service and I can configure it with my website as well. Okay. See now you put the IP here and it says which location you are from.
Okay.
Okay. So you find, click on the find and it says Bangalore, Karnataka, India, Asia, right? So
The IP address of my
this is
home.
basically taking the IP address of the internet, and it is anybody who visits our website obviously visits through internet.
Yes. But I'm just curious to know that how to find others' IP address, not mine.
Others,
IP
how will
address.
you get others IP address?
So
What do you mean by others?
he's
Huh?
chatting with me.
No,
He's
no, let
chatting
me.
with me.
He's chatting with you.
Yeah, he's using a tool and he's trying to text with me.
See, has he visited your website?
Yes.
If he has visited your website, you should be able to find it out. So basically the tools. So for example, let's say you see the chat application here.
Yes, sir.
So if anybody is chatting here, this tool automatically tells a person is chatting from Bangalore, Karnataka to me. So if I go to the dashboard, it says person has come from Bangalore, Karnataka. People are coming from Bangalore, Karnataka. Okay. So they will have the APIs configured with their tools or applications. Same way, you have to configure API with your website and you have to build a dashboard, something like this. Uh, you have to build a dashboard admin.learn and thrive, which would tell you how many people are, which would show you how many people are browsing from Bangalore, right? Or maybe something else. Your analytics also will have the data. The analytics GA4, there was uh, universal analytics. It's been removed since July or December. We have GA4 now. So that one had very, that this one also has all the information or details. but then you will have to create the dashboards by yourself. You will have to process the data or set the dashboards. So mostly this also will have the details. Analytics will give you all the visitor information. You are going to how you find this. You are going to configure your website with Google Analytics, and Google Analytics tells you whether it's male or female, whether the person is coming from Airtel or BSNL or Jio or any other internet. Is he coming from Chrome or is he coming from Firefox or any other browser? Is he coming from Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or Bing? Is he coming from iPhone or Android phone? If it's Android phone, which Android phone versions, everything you will get all kinds of details pertaining to your website when your website is connected to Google Analytics. If it's an offline store, you must have seen, right? Store owners will be looking into people, looking at the people,
Yes.
how many people are getting into it, how many are going. They will keep monitoring, observing, right? They will install the CCTVs and they will start monitoring it, right? So now here it is Google Analytics, which is a free tool from Google. Okay, you can use this Google Analytics tool and you can monitor your visitors. You can also track what's happening with the people. If person has clicked on contact us, you can track that as well. If person has made the payment, you can track that as well. If person has inquired, you can track that as well. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we are also going to understand in technical SEO how to study all of these technical aspects of the website. Note down this tool, tools.pingdom.com is one tool that's going to help you to understand the performance of your website, tools.pingdom.com. There are few more tools, Google Page Speed Insights. This is another tool from Google. This is for free. This one you have to pay
Okay.
for advanced details or optimization, right? And this is for free. When you paste your website URL, let me check it for this one. This one is a new project done by our team. Let's see if there are any technical glitches on this project or website. Or maybe instead of this URL, let me pick a URL. Discover what your real users are experiencing on mobile devices as well as
Yes.
desktop, right? So it's still diagnosing. We'll check it out back. So there is another tool called as GT metrics. See, as a digital marketer, you don't have to whatever it's suggesting here. Most of the 90%, 99% of the time, this have to be taken care by the website designers and developers, not by digital marketers. Digital marketers are the people who understand this and instruct or request or tell them that this all have to be fixed. Right? Now see, look at this. First contentful point is the time taken. See, a web page has several pieces of content. First byte, data will be sent in the form of bytes, right? So now for the for the first piece of information that's coming, the time taken in sending first piece of information to your browser is 3.1 seconds, which has to be less than 200 milliseconds. It has to be less than 200 milliseconds. So now, on basis of this, your developer will start optimizing his coding practices, understands, figures out what is that impacting, right? And they will start. And largest contentful point in a web page, let's assume this image is the larger one, right? And time taken to send the largest contentful point is 5.3 seconds, which is pretty high.
Yes, sir.
Total blocking time 640 milliseconds. There will be some JavaScript or some other content which must be blocking the page for some time. That is 640 milliseconds. Cumulative layout shift. Cumulative layout shift is a shift made from one section to another section on the web page, which has to be less than 0.01, and it is 0.1, not 0.01, 0.1, and it is good. Desktop, you will see better improved metrics. See, per score is 48. This can be 100 also. right? Right? Performance 48, accessibility 79, best practices 96, SEO 85. They are giving score for different metrics. Links do not have descriptive text. So links will be just uh, something like this. Learn more. This is not a big deal. This is not a big issue or a big blocker, right? So robots.txt is not valid. So robots.txt we were discussing in the last class. There is no robots.txt on this website yet. Hence they are just telling that there is no robots. Instead of telling there is no robots.txt, they are telling that robots.txt is not valid. It's not found, right? So which is again not a big issue or a big deal. Okay, are you all getting it?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah, so ensure what else it's speaking about detected JavaScript libraries, Next.js, all front-end JavaScript libraries detected. Okay, this is fine. Robots.txt is done. So let me close this. Additional items to manually check one. Run these additional validators on your site to check additional best SEO practices. Structured data is valid. See, it's not only about bad practices; it shows the good practices as well. Past audits 11 has a meta name viewport tag with width or initial scale. This is all about the screen sizes, setting up the screen sizes. Document has title tag, meta title. This is what the browsers see and understand what the web page is about. This is what helps the search engines to identify what the web page is about. Correct? Document has a meta description, page has structured HTTP status code, links are crawlable, page is not blocked from indexing. If you are using no index, no follow tag, then the web page we were discussing in site level SEO, correct? What no index, no follow does. Image elements are alt attributes. It's not telling whether we are filling the alt attributes or not. It's just telling that you have alt attributes. So as a SEO professional, you have to fill the alt attributes with relevant text. If it is an image related to grapes, you have to put grapes over there. If it's an image related to apple, you have to put apple in the alt text. We discussed this in the site level and on page SEO already, so you are all able to relate it. Document has a valid href language. So it's important to communicate what the web page is about. Language. Web page is in English, correct? This web page is in English, not in French or Spanish or Germany. German, right? This is all in English, and you're communicating it. The web page is in English language. The HTML tag has been used. Document uses visible font sizes. 97.98% visible text or the accepted formats compatible for most of the devices. Document avoids plugins. We are not using external too many plugins which would impact the performance of the website. Tab targets are sized appropriately. What is this tab targets? On the phone you would see a button, click now, call now, inquire now. So these one will be disproportionately, it doesn't function properly with the your tapping with your fingers to tap, right? So tap targets are sized appropriately, 100% appropriately sized. So this is for mobile. Desktop you would see SEO links do not have desktop. This is okay. Robert.txt same issues. So desktop, what are the additional problems? These are the only two issues. So here performance first contentful point 1.9 seconds. This has to be less than 200 milliseconds. This one has to be less than 900 700 milliseconds, right? Speed index, all this will impact on the total speed index, right? They will have the instructions as well how to bring it down and what is that creating the problem. This is the largest contentful element pointed with the viewports. This image is the more biggest one and it's taking most of the time in sending the file to the browser. Reduce the initial server response time. Root document took 760 milliseconds. So as of now, this is actually hosted on a subdomain called skilldeck. Skilldots.com is the actual domain where this website is going to get moved. We are working on our website. The server configurations will be different. The domain configurations will be different. All this will impact the performance as well. Right? Once it is moved, But anyways, this is a good example as well for us to discuss now. Reduce reduce unused JavaScript. Sometimes a developer must have written JavaScript. It is no more useful. They can remove the JavaScript. They will still comment it and keep it on the page, or still it will be there. Its functionality will be minimal or no functionality at all, but JavaScript will be on the page, right? It's something like keeping the garbage at home, the wet waste and dry waste which you segregate. Will you prefer to keep it at home for several days, weeks, months? You have to throw it away, right, in order to keep your home clean, correct?
Yes.
Same way, in order to keep your code clean, in order to make it perform better, you have to eliminate all such JavaScript or any other pieces of code. Even the spaces will count. There will be empty spaces or white spaces in the JavaScript, even or CSS. Even that will impact on the performance. Avoid an excessive DOM elements. So, see DOM elements. Uh, DOM elements. I just missed out on that. Object something. Okay. So usually what happens is, if you're not following the best practices in your user interface and user experience, like for example, sometimes you must have seen images scrolling, sliding. You have to click next, it slides. This will take too many DOM elements. DOM, I'll tell you, I just forgot that. Document object model is a programming API for HTML and XML documents. It defines the logical structure of documents and the way a document is accessed and manipulated. Okay. Document object model, how basically the content is structured from database into your HTML page, right? So based on this, the DOM object models will increase. More the number of DOM object elements, lower the performance of your web page or impacts on the load times. If structure is not proper, that's what I was telling. The sliding is not a good practice. It will increase DOM elements, document, object, model, which will increase and which will impact on the load times. You have to reduce the DOM elements as much as possible. It's all again about front-end developers will understand better which is creating more DOM elements. Basically, the structuring of the web page. Okay. Properly sized images. Serve images that are appropriately sized to save cellular data and improve load times. The aspect ratios of the image, width, height, they can follow standard height for some of the images. If they are not proper, they will impact on the right. Sometimes you don't need such a heavy file to be shown on mobile phone, correct? Correct. So there are some suggestions about image optimization as well. Sizing of the images. Enable text compression. The content, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, everything. Here its text is not the words or text of information. The text is any information on the web page. Can be compressed.
How
So
do
that
you compress it?
so if it is Linux servers, on htaccess files we write commands. We write commands. There is a control file on the server. There will be a control file on the server, right? So there is something called as .htaccess file that gives a maximum control to your website, and then setting up all this, compressing the images, enabling the cache. So I'll show you if I am able to. Okay, I'll show it to you on the article.
Can you share? Can you do that?
So if you're okay, you can leave or sit for some more time if you're inconvenient. It's your choice. Yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, welcome. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So now look at this. You will be adding the code that goes into HT access file. Zip the files through HT access to zip. Zip the files into HT access. You are going to write the instructions or commands like this, right? If module mod czip.c, it's quite difficult to understand for all of us these things. This is mainly about people who handle servers, work on servers, the backend developers, website backend developers will understand better this to an extent. Okay, but let's try to understand this. This all seems to be the simple instructions. Modification or mod czip on. You want it to be yes or no? Yes. Mod czip dchunk yes. Dchunk I have no clue. Item included file. What kind of files have to be compressed here? This third, fourth line is about HTML, text, CSS, JS, PHP. All the files have to be compressed. And this is include handler. I have no idea about handler. So what I had done was when I had to optimize a WordPress website, I had just copy pasted it from the internet. I wanted to compress content, zip the content, I just zip the content and enable cache. I was telling that instruct the browsers about caching the files for certain period. Like look at this, expires caching. So this will not function. This is like comment. So comment you have to put a hash hash. In different coding languages it will be exclamatory hyphens hyphens. You all must have seen at least once, I guess. No, the programming languages how people comment. No labs everywhere. Okay, if mod expires dot c expire activate on expire by type images 1 year. So we are setting the expiry header this way.
Sir, do you have any tool for
Copy paste.
no, you
It's easy to modify.
Yeah.
That one I just searched uh, zip code for. You will get it. You will get it easily. See now I have only written the blog, right? How to improve the performance, WordPress speed optimization. They just found it on the Google, correct? Where did I search? Somewhere I searched. Or I just clicked on the Google. I'm explaining the importance of optimizing the websites, right? Zip the files through HT access. Enable the cache on HT access file. HT access file is basically a control file. I'll show it to you. I'll open it to you. Open it and show it to you. Optimize the content. Use the light theme and advanced themes. Disable the plugins that are not in use. Effective use of plugins on multi-site. Compress the images or media. Segregate the content. Use SEO plugin. Yeah. So this is all about optimizing a WordPress file. I will go to the signing. What happened?
Actually, you started the family because of this.
I did not get that.
So, watermelon catch watermelon photo.
Okay. So now for one of the website, look at this. We have a HT access control file.
Sir, can you give 2 minutes? I'm not able to concentrate.
But it's a matter. It's a matter. I'll tell you. It's a matter.
ஆமா.
எந்த பொண்ணு எதுக்காக எந்த பொண்ணு எதுக்காக zoom பண்ண
Yeah.
sir he's coming to class and doing something else sir ask him sir
After this class, we will discuss that. After this class, because we are all recording this, right? So let's not discuss all of that. Yeah. So now look at this. This is the folder where your website is being hosted, right? And all the files are sitting here in this folder, correct? And in the same folder you have .ht access. So this is the file. It's something like a password, how password works, how a key works for the complete lock or a home. Same way htaccess is such control for your website where you can instruct to your server what and all has to be taken care pertaining to your website, right? So if you look at this, just look at this, I'm opening this, just click on view, and when I click on view I get to see all the instructions are been just copy pasted here. So if I'm editing it, I can remove it, remove everything. I can keep it empty also. And by default, whenever you install, by default you will have this one, I guess something. Yeah, one of these things. Maybe at least something like this, right? Anything. If you are committing some mistakes here, your websites may not work. You have to be very careful in editing htaccess file. And WordPress files will also have the configuration file, wp config. So that's where you configure your WordPress website and your databases and couple of other commands or instructions pertaining to your website. Yeah. Your configuration file will be something like this. Okay, so just the only thing that I have always used is configuring DB if I am manually creating a DB and manually uploading a WordPress. But most of the hosting providers will give you options, clicks, 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 and automatically a database gets created and automatically your website also gets connected. So 10 years back, I used to do it manually, used to connect. That's not needed anyways. Okay, so you all understood the htaccess file and how we control it, right? And yeah, right. Avoid large layout shifts. There are some instructions. Layout shift, there are issues. GT metrics will give better insights on this.
So is it accurate?
Huh?
These matters what you are talking about. So it gives the accurate problem that is going to the website.
Yeah, the free version will give you a lot of details or information, instructions or suggestions for you to be taken care on your website. So now report generated, they have changed it. Paid one their services will be they will be monitoring it at frequent intervals, whichever you said daily or monthly or weekly. Plus, they will store all the data. They will give you the comparison. How was it earlier and how is it now, which is not needed. Which is not needed. So now this is asking report has been generated. Create an account to see the details. Okay. So it was not there earlier. In recent times, I guess we are doing this. Check your email for a validation link. Yeah. So in this tool, forms. So developers understand all of this in their code. What are these long thread tasks and how do they eliminate this? So you have to just tell them, share these reports, screenshots. This is what it is now. I want it to be 100 out of 100 or above 90. So that's when they will start analyzing all of this.
So
And
as a digital marketer, you have to hire a web developer.
It is not so necessary.
So necessary.
see, sometimes these issues, see, it depends on the type of business you are into, the competition that you are into. See, ideally, if you have to surpass all your competition and has to be to the best, maintaining all of this to the best would help you to stay in the top. And one more, the investment, your resources needed. See, let's say if with all these issues, the amount of backlinks, this might impact on the crawl. If you have to improve the crawl further, you have to bring in more backlinks as well. Invest there. It's something like there is a tiny hole on the in the water tank. Slightly, it's leaking. Right now, obviously, input has to be more. If you avoid this leakage, it won't be a problem. Correct? Should you compulsorily invest? Sometimes what happens to avoid this leakage, you might have to invest three times more than the price of the tank. Not required. So these kinds of issues, addressing these kinds of issues is necessary, but is it really necessary at the cost of uh, maybe it's going to be, see, without this it's still working for you fine, because the competition is not that high for your domain or industry. Correct? With the minimal resources still things are working pretty fine. And now to fix this, if you have to hire a developer and if you have to invest so much, it's not necessary when your app operating as a small website, where for the website itself you must have spent 20,000, and now to fix this developer will ask you 50,000.
Yes, exactly.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
So these kinds of things are addressing usually aggregators or larger companies where the business is completely through websites and investing there. See, for their websites must be making in crores every week or every day, every month, and for them 50,000 doesn't matter.
Yes.
Correct? Right? So usually where websites, see, it's important actually for every website. It's important. It's completely a business owner's call. But then, if a website is built on WordPress, by changing the themes which you have purchased, see, the theme which you are purchasing and using as it is the flat sum will have these scores to a significantly good level. 90 percentage, 99. You go to the theme and again check their screenshots. They will show you very good optimization. Okay, so for WordPress it's easier themes, and sometimes there are different kinds of themes, plugins available to optimize your performance. Automatically it takes care of certain things, right? See, if it's a custom built website, this all have to be addressed by the same developers who are working on it. Okay,
That's it, sir.
no, there's a lot more, maybe. Okay, fine, then we'll continue. GT matrix is there. GT matrix. We did not even do it for hour, man.
Because we started by 11:40 something.
Not 11:40, 11:30, 5:36, 37.
Sir, Ron was that only sir.